Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video.
I've known my sister-in-law, Evelyn, all my life since we've lived in the same small city since childhood. It wasn't even until the senior year of high school that I began dating her brother, my now husband, but still, living in the same small city, going to the same school, sharing some of the same clubs, I've known Evelyn and how she's been all my life. She's always been the carefree, loud, outgoing, extroverted, life of the party kind of girl. Ever since a young age, she ran away from commitments, responsibilities, stress, and burdens of life. This personality of hers was admirable to everyone until adulthood hit. Unfortunately, though, with the way how everywhere she went, everyone loved her for her attitude. The fact that my in-laws were rich, very rich, they spoiled her rotten and just generally all throughout her life. Everyone around her thought she was cool and fun. This made her the popular girl who could make people do things for her. This, in turn, made her unprepared and unaware of life in general. It was in college itself that the commitment-hating Evelyn fell in love and started dating her boyfriend, now husband, Garrett, who was sort of the worst version of her. You can only imagine where this led them. They started living the life of the party, completely abandoned their education, and became the kids who made being popular, drinking, and partying their entire personality. We all sort of know how things go for kids like them. Well, at least I was able to predict it, but man, I didn't know things would turn out worse than the worst case scenario I had imagined in my head. It all immediately came crashing down as Garrett and Evelyn graduated with grades and skills as terrible as they were. Their resumes weren't accepted anywhere. It was my in-laws and Garrett's parents who ended up buying them a house. Evelyn then got pregnant and gave birth to a set of twins. Garrett and her got married next because that was the best thing to do. All these changes forced both of them to get minimum wage jobs. Needless to say, this life was something Evelyn did not want to have, even as her worst nightmare. So she started to dump the kids on anyone she possibly could. Me, my mother-in-law, her cousins, her friends, everyone. Of course, no one wanted to put up with that, though, and eventually Evelyn was put into place as everyone told her that no one was interested in looking after her kids, except for my mother-in-law, who in turn would constantly shame anyone who refused to look after the kids. I was my mother-in-law's first target, though, because the three of us lived extremely close and her ego just couldn't handle the fact that finally there was someone who was taking a stand against her princess and making her function as a normal adult. This time was no different. After 3 years of the twins being born, my mother-in-law decided to give her and my brother-in-law a vacation package because the poor girl deserved to rest. My mother-in-law, who herself was going on a trip with her friends along with my father-in-law, decided on her own that I was going to be the designated babysitter. I firmly set my boundaries, telling her that I wasn't going to become a babysitter just because her daughter didn't want to take care of the kids' babysitting arrangement. This sparked an argument between me and my mother-in-law where obviously no one took my side. Thankfully, though, at the end of the day, my mother-in-law, through her rage, gave up on her demand, and I thought I was finally left alone. Well, that was far from the case, and I found out about it all exactly 2 days after Evelyn and Garrett had left for their vacation. I was at work when I received a call from the CPS. The fact that CPS had called me made me slightly nervous. I mean, what would be the reason that they'd call a person with no kids? I answered the call with a million thoughts in my mind and with nervousness creeping up on me, but I didn't know that it was what they were going to tell me that would have me sweating even more in anxiety. The moment I received the call, they asked me my name. The moment I confirmed that I was the person they were looking for, They told me that I had to drive over because apparently Evelyn's kids were in great danger and she wasn't answering anyone's calls. I was shocked. I immediately began questioning them, but they didn't answer me and just asked me to drive over to her place. Something about that just made me more anxious. I knew I had no option though, so I just drove over to Evelyn's place and was horrified to discover that the kids were left in the house with absolutely no adult supervision on them. The CPS officer informed me that it was the neighbor, my friend from high school, who had given them my number after Evelyn, Garrett, and my in laws refused to answer the calls. I was dumbfounded as the officer went on to reveal that the kids were not only left behind, but with absolutely no food and water to take care of themselves. It took the neighbors 2 days to realize that the kids were left behind as they had started crying a lot. My heart broke for them. The CPS asked me if I'd be interested to take in the kids. I immediately knew I wanted to, but also knew if I took them in, it would just be a sign for Evelyn, my in laws, and everyone else that I'm some sort of doormat that they can just walk all over. So I told them no and directed them towards a couple of Evelyn's cousins who would take her in. Thankfully, one of them has, and I've sent them over some money so that they can keep the kids well dressed and fed. I guess that's not enough for Evelyn and everyone else, though, because ever since Evelyn, Garrett, and my in laws finally decided to open their eyes and check out their phones, they haven't stopped giving me shit for not checking up on the twins earlier and for letting the CPS know what was happening. Even my husband, who is usually neutral, has openly expressed his disappointment in me, and now I just don't know what to do. Was I the a-hole? I've moved out of the house because I was truly astounded at how much entitlement people in this household have in them. My husband and I got into this huge argument as Evelyn barraged into my house the day she returned home from her trip, screaming at me for taking her kids away from her. She started weeping her crocodile tears and was enough to melt away my husband, Peter, who then jumped on me and berated me some more, telling me that apparently it's me who should have taken the blame and told the CPS officer that the kids were left behind by me because I was trying to run some errands. Arguing with my husband that day felt like I was arguing with some version of my mother-in-law. It was then I knew I didn't want to live a life that revolved around Evelyn and her inability to grow up, and I told that to Peter, who got even angrier because apparently his princess of a sister doesn't deserve to be around people like me. That was the point that I realized truly how delusional this man and his entire family was. I didn't utter a word after that, simply just packed my bags and drove myself to my parents' place where I'm living right now. My parents are completely on my side and are as shocked and disgusted at Peter's behavior as everyone else is. They believe he's just as childish as my in-laws, and honestly, although I'm late to the party, I think my eyes have slowly started opening to that as well. I guess Peter realized how I wasn't playing when I said that I was done with him and his family because he's now started to blow up my phone with apologies. My mother-in-law and Evelyn have sent me the fakest of apologies too, with Garrett and his texting abilities of a college student sending me something along the effect of, "Chill out." I don't want to chill out, though. I feel like I've waited all my life for Peter to take my side against his family for once, and the fact that he isn't, especially in a situation as serious as this one, was just heartbreaking to me and killed all the love and willpower I had in me to save our marriage. I've decided that I've had enough. I'm no longer going to waste my time and try to fix the unfixable. So I went to the lawyers today and have asked them to draw out the divorce papers ASAP so that it doesn't waste any of my or Peter's time because, of course, the earlier I'm out of this situation, the earlier he'll be able to go back to taking care of his princess of a sister. There was also an update from the CPS, although they had just called me to inquire about Peter's family. They ended up informing me that they've looked deeply into Evelyn's case and apparently she's at a very high risk of losing custody of her kids. Honestly, I'm not surprised, even an inch, because with the way she behaves, it's probably likely that she has multiple reports against her. I just hope that whatever happens to the kids, it'll be for the best. I wasn't planning to update this post anymore, but thought I should do it anyway. Peter broke down as he was served the divorce papers, as if this was something completely unexpected for him. I just couldn't feel any empathy for him, though. I just immediately began moving my things out of the house because I had absolutely no interest in living there or getting the house to myself. The deed was under both our names, so we were able to split and get an equal share. I've moved to the other side of the city and haven't really gotten the time for myself as I've been so busy with shifting. Thankfully, though, I've had nothing but amazing support from my side of the family, some of Peter's side, and also my friends. As for Evelyn, things haven't been too good for her, with so many reports from the CPS. And the poor condition of her house, the kids were unfortunately taken away from her. Although it always feels sad to see when a child is taken away from their mother, I realize that if the mother is like Evelyn, it's truly for the best. Apparently, someone from Garrett's side of the family is looking into taking their custody. This revelation is not that surprising to me. What is surprising is the fact that Evelyn has absolutely no empathy about this situation, and her Facebook wall says it all through her constantly fluctuating posts of either partying, vacationing, or mourning about the loss of her children. It just goes on to say how vile of a person she is and how proud I feel of myself for taking a stand against her. Currently, the fact that I saved the lives of those innocent kids and also gotten myself out of a situation which was mentally draining is all that has been keeping me going lately. Thank you all so much for being on this journey with me. NTA, your in-laws and husband are a bunch of lunatics. Glad you got out of that situation before they turn you into one as well. NTA, WTF is wrong with Evelyn and Garrett. They truly deserve to have their kids taken away because they seem to be in no shape mentally to take care of them. I, 26 female, posted a scathing Facebook status after I went to an extremely expensive event on Friday and had a terrible experience. Over 5 hours in line. And then got temporarily banned from the Facebook group of the community the event was for because I vented my frustrations at the poor organization of the event and overall awful time attendees had. I'll admit it wasn't my finest moment, and when I say the status was scathing, I mean scathing. But at the same time, I waited in line for 5 hours for a terrible event that cost me $140 entry between myself and my partner. And they didn't even have my partner's shirt size after all that. Almost immediately after I got a text from my mom, 44, who lives on the other side of the country and has very little bearing on my life. She told me my status made me look like a fool and that I needed to delete it because it embarrassed her. I explained the situation but also told her that I'm a grown adult and she has no say over my social media. This isn't like when I was a teenager and she could take my phone to read any social media posts or text messages she didn't agree with. It escalated into her telling me that my behavior makes her look like a shit mom to all our mutual Facebook friends, and I'm an absolutely disgusting human being that she is ashamed to have raised. This is strange because she's acting like I posted some written act against God, not a status calling out an event that ripped people off. In the end, I told her she needs to back off and shut the hell up because she has no impact on my life whatsoever, and the fact that she's trying to make a situation with nothing to do with her all about her is some serious narcissism and that maybe she needs to get that checked. I also told her that her demanding I delete my status is nothing more than a power play and I'm too old to play her games. AITA? My initial review on the community page was very polite, and I'm happy to send pics. The angry post was on my personal Facebook, which is private to everyone but friends, and was made after absolutely everyone who had a negative experience was banned or had comments turned off on their posts by the community admins because they don't wish to admit that so many people were unhappy with an event they promoted. NTA, whether or not your post was justified has no bearing on your mother's life, and she has no say in it. She actually looks more like shit for trying to control another adult with her narcissistic reasoning. What you told her is entirely justified, and you should stand firm on your boundaries. NTA, you're a grown ass woman. What right does she have to call you names and dictate what you put up on Facebook? Suggestion: post your message exchange and see what your mutuals have to say about her disgusting behavior, calling her own daughter such horrendous things. We are all over the age of 23 and all names are fake. Our family consists of me, our parents, one brother, and another sister. My brother, Mike, brought up the fact that we should start going out on family friend vacations since we were both relatively financially stable and those who couldn't afford costs could be covered by either me or him. I thought it was a great idea and immediately started consulting everyone about ideas for the vacation, everyone being a few cousins and friends as well. My brother has twin boys that are 5 years old. Neither me or my sister have kids. Although me and my boyfriend plan to have kids, my sister, Ashley, and her partner have been very open about their child-free status. No one has a problem with this, but she is not very fond of my brother's kids and has said that they give her headaches when she's over at his house. In previous conversations, she has said that she can't handle small kids and feels as though they ruin certain events. This was brought up mostly at a barbecue we had to celebrate our mother getting through her leg surgery safely and making a good recovery. My brother's kids had been crying a lot and kind of running around, but hadn't destroyed anything. My sister had been very stressed about this and told my brother to take his kids home to his wife or she and her partner would leave, which he did to avoid further conflict with her. There have been few other incidents like this as well. I thought about this and other things she had said and made the decision to not invite her. I brought this up with Mike, and we both agreed that our sister probably wouldn't have a good time on the vacation with kids that are still so young. Our mother said that since we are paying for most of the vacation, it's our decision, and she has no fault on it besides that we should tell her and her partner. So I did, and she absolutely was not happy. She said, why couldn't Mike's kids stay with his wife or he get a babysitter? I said that his wife really wants to go and get the kids out of the house. She responded by saying that she is our sister and those kids were way too young to travel anyways. I said she doesn't even like kids, so the vacation wouldn't be enjoyable for her. And that was the reasoning. Her response was that although that was true, we should have invited her first anyways before making the decision. I asked her why we would invite her just for her to turn down the invite. I also pointed out that Mike has removed his kids for her many other times, so I think this would only be fair. She hung up and later sent texts saying I was being unreasonable and she didn't want to go on the shitty vacation anyways. AITA? NTA, your sister is out of control. You were completely correct in not inviting her because she would make everyone miserable with her ridiculous demands. Telling your brother to take his kids and leave a family event is outrageous. Demanding that he leave his wife and kids so she and her partner can go on a free vacation is outrageously ridiculous. You and your brother have indulged her for too long. Enjoy your vacation. Never invite her. Tell brother to stop leaving family events to accommodate her. Let her leave or deal with it. NTA, your sister wants to exclude your brother's wife along with the kids from anything where she's at. That isn't right to your brother. Your sister can go on a vacation of her own with her husband. It will be kid-free and they will get to do exactly what they want to do. There's nothing wrong with your sister not wanting kids. She is making her choice an issue for those around her that have kids. She can exclude kids, limit time with children, all she wants. She can't expect the others with kids to never be present when she is around, though. She can be the bigger person and leave and not make her issue into everybody else's issue. NTA, your sister is free to not have children. She is not free to limit the existence of someone else's children.